Hey guys, I'm Chris. So today's build kind of took a mind of its own after I guess it did what it wanted to do. If that makes sense. So basically I just went with what came to me, and what I was originally going to do didn't turn out in the end of what actually I produced. So, which I think it looks still pretty cool. I mean, so basically it's based off of just a slow curve, like a gentle curve, where I didn't have to wet any wood to laminate it together. So it was easy enough to bend and then just glue. But there was a point in the build where I was like, I finally kind of knew what I wanted, but it was just, how did I, how could I make it look like I wanted it to? So I was just kind of brainstorming on my way through what I wanted to do. So hopefully that makes sense. Luckily we have video, so it helps understand using that concept in your head to speech issues, like two totally different languages. Concept in your head to speaking. Use your words. Once you go through this montage of brainstorming through this build, we'll come back, and because there's a couple things that were missed from, apparently you got to recharge your phone in these to record something. There's nothing major, but just a couple key points I want to point out. But anyway, let's roll the tape. I'm such a geek. First, we're going to need 2 pieces of 2x4 at about 24 inches. So now if you cut them down to 24-inch length, you're going to rip 5 pieces out at 1/8 inch. It's like a little deck of cards. You can do both sets. Just make sure you keep them off the same orientation, just so the grain patterns will match on the top. Then we're going to use this piece, the bigger piece left over, as a template. Also save the other big piece because we're going to use that later. So now you're going to want to measure halfway. Find your center. In this case it's 12. And then on each corner, so this drop is going to be 9/16 both corners. So to get my curve, I marked one end. We're going to use a strip. So this is just basically to hold it on that mark. If you had 2 people, this would be a lot simpler. For the center, I just put a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and then I'll hold the end and then just trace it. Alright, so that's the curve you're going to have. Pretty subtle. Alright, so now once you got your template made, you'll be taking your strips. Save the outside one because you're going to use that as a sacrificial piece. You'll measure down 9/16 on both sides because we're going to draw both sides. Now once you figure out what your inside piece is going to be, this is the piece you're going to mark on. Now you're going to do that to both sets. Same thing, but one set we're going to end up cutting down the center, so we'll draw a center line, and these are going to be for our sides. Okay, so we just marked out 9/16 on all corners. Just take your template, line up your marks on the ends, so it should look like that. So you're not going to cut it yet. So I was going to show you how to make a jig, but there's a way simpler way than what I did, and I'm kind of beside myself. I almost scratched this project, and then just was going to start over with a different jig, but it does work. But if I showed you how to do this one, it'd be a waste of your time, and I am going to make the other one the right way because we'll be making more of these. Let me show you this apparatus. So this is what I built, and it's basically based on tie down straps. So I had to make a space for the buckles, and then the height, and then that ended up using. It wasn't high enough the first time, so I put these pieces on so it was high enough to to cover the edge. But it does work, but it's just a pain in the butt setting it up. Continue doing it this way for just to finish out this build. But I will be making a jig the right way, which is basically I could just make it out of 2x4s and then just make a counterpart, just be able to clamp it together. So just trial and error. So I probably will just make a separate video to make the jig the right way, because there's just probably several different things and a multitude of things you can do with this kind of lamination curb. So I was just thinking maybe, you know, like an entryway table with a curved apron with some curved drawer fronts and maybe some curved shelves, or, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. So I'll probably just make a separate video, and if someone wants to just, you know, check that out, they can, and I'd probably relate it with maybe future builds to that would correspond with that jig. Okay, so let's start this debacle. Remember your sacrificial piece. You're not going to glue this. It just helps protect your edge of your piece you want. So apparently, I still needed to clamp. So I don't know if it was this upper strap. So I need to clamp just a hair, a little more to close up the gap on the top. So, all right, let's take it off, see what she looks like. Not bad. So we'll cut this one down the center because we're going to use these two sides, and then we'll cut our arcs out. Got to fine tune any little gaps. We'll sand out, get it more flush. Anywhere about a 1/4 inch lip. I'm going to want to stain and finish, but I want to leave some glue areas, so I'll leave that bare and leave the edges bare for this, and then we'll glue it. So I'm going to round the tops over, the top edges, just gives it a nice smoother look. Cut the edges a little short, and I'm going to round this over the edges. So this is where I'm at now. So for the middle part, I'm going to leave out, I'm going to start 11 inch and 1/16. I need to find my center so I can find some, because I'm going to be drilling 5 holes. I got these taped because I'm going to, after I glue these up and then I work on my feet, then I'll know, because I want to put some, drill some holes, number 6 3/4 inch screws in, and then I'll put a dowel in. So I don't want to add a lot of glue, because I'm just gonna pin nail it, just a little bit of glue, and then it'll set up and I can put my screws in. Hey guys, I'm really flying off the seat of my pants here. So it's either gonna pee me off if I do this, or it's gonna be okay. So basically this is what I did, is these are where my holders are going to be. Measured the same across each side. Made a tick mark across on my tape, and then I'm able to mark on my tape where I need to drill my holes. To drill my holes, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch Forstner bit, because if I get a lot of tear out, I'm going to be mad. Everybody hates a coward, right? But all in all, it's pretty good. So now what I'm thinking is I want to do something in between the dowels. I don't know yet. Okay, so I did come up with something for in between my dowels, but let's table that. We'll come back to that. But first I want to cut my holes for my holders, and I'm going to use a inch and a half Forstner bit. You could do this with a drill, but you know, just got to be hold it vertical. But I'm just going to use my drill press. Okay, we got our holes for our holders cut. So now, I was originally going to, for the feet, I glued these two together. Now I think it's going to be too thick, so I'm just going to basically rip these back down. And then because I want a lower profile, I think will work better with this. Give it kind of more of a sleeker look. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo what I did. So guys, I need help. Okay. So now I need to mark where my dowels are on each side. That's where I want my feet to correlate with, is where the dowels are on each one. So I'm going to have 5 feet. And I'm going to make them a little longer, just a hair, because I want probably just to leave a 1/2 inch out. So I'll make it a little bigger so I can have room for error. And then I can, because what I want to do is, all I'm going to do is I'll turn it over and I'll just, what I want to do is mark it and just notch my hair so it sets in. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I missed the part where I notched the feet and put them on. So this is what I came up with after all this. I think it looks pretty sleek, with 2 curves meeting. 2 different planes, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But when you make these curves, to make them use that one curve. Don't mix the 2 curves up, because they, just use one template for all the curves. So in between the dowels, it was just, I ended up using skewers, and I let the dowels protrude a little bit. It's pretty sharp, I think. Should have been a canoe builder. Hey, it's a canoe candle holder. I don't know. I think it's pretty badass. I like how the curves play against each other. Kind of a yin and yang with the dark stain and the pine. But to be honest, I think like a black walnut with some maple would be pretty sharp. But I don't have any of that. So we'll leave you with some ambiance, with some low lighting and some soft music with the candles lit. Then you can do whatever you do while you're watching candles burn. But all right, thanks guys.